So in this video we're going to talk about martinis, different terminology, different ways of asking for them, different ways they're made. You got your two basic martinis, either gin or vodka, but you can really go in a lot of different directions from there. There's a Vesper, which is actually a blend of gin and vodka using Lillet Blanc instead of a traditional vermouth, which are usually traditionally Italian. But then you've got dirty martinis, you've got dry, you've got extra dry. We're going to talk about what some of these words mean. So dirty means you add some of the brine from the olive jar that the olives are stored in. A lot of people call it olive juice. It's not actually juice, it's a saltwater brine that's used to preserve the olives. And then however dirty you want it, you can add more, and it just adds this really salty, earthy sort of flavor to things. You've also got dry, which means light on the vermouth, and then extra dry traditionally means no vermouth. If you do extra dry, most places you go, they won't add any vermouth to it. It'll be just straight gin or straight vodka, whichever you order. With dry, sometimes they'll just dribble a little bit into the shaker before they pour it out. Sometimes they'll do what's called a rinse, where they'll take the glass and they'll pour a little bit in and kind of swirl it around, and then they'll pour it out. So it just leaves a residue on the glass. It'll make it very light on the vermouth, but that flavor will still be there. You've also got all sorts of different options for vermouths. I have four here that I like. So this one is an Italian vermouth that is very herbal, very earthy. I like to use this one with olive martinis. Pretty, this one's made by Brovo. This one is a floral vermouth. I really like to use this one if I'm doing lemon twist. There's also this one called Pink, which is a somewhat floral. It's a rosé vermouth, so it's not as white as like a traditional white vermouth, but it adds a nice sort of floral note as well. And then the Lillet, like I said, is traditionally used in a Vesper, but I like to use it in some other martinis as well. It's a little sweeter, a little more balanced flavor-wise. It's more closer to a fortified wine, which all vermouths are technically a fortified wine, but this one's a lot closer flavor-wise to sort of an aperitif wine that you would drink on its own. And so those are your different ways of doing martinis. We're also going to briefly mention Manhattans, because Manhattans are done in the same format. It's just with dark liquor instead of light, usually a whiskey, but also with brandy sometimes, and that usually will use a red vermouth, which we use this one. But another term that you may or may not have ever heard, but is what's called a perfect Manhattan, which is going to be both light and dark vermouth, sweet and dry in traditional circles. That's what's called a perfect Manhattan. So you've got lots of options. Hopefully you try new things. I personally like gin with a lemon twist. A lot of you prefer vodka with an olive, but there's no wrong way to drink. So happy drinking, everybody.